Proof of the conspiracy. Its introduction into America. Those who directed the Great French Revolution used a preconceived reign of terror to put into effect the Luciferian principle that egoism are to be reduced to one common level in subjection. It is this principle that Cromwell's Roundheads demonstrated so effectively when they put the levelers into action after the Synagogue of Satan had helped remove the crowned head of England and usurp dictatorial power. Those who serve the Synagogue of Satan are still engaged in leveling the goyim. Instead of raising women up to the high levels of morality and virtue once practiced by women who patterned their behavior on that of the Mother of Jesus Christ, Satanists have introduced modernism, which dragged women down to the level of males. They call this women's suffrage. The purpose was stated to be to free women from slavery of body, mind, and soul, if we heed what Mrs. Pankhurst and others had to say. But behind the window dressing is the intention to brainwash women into a pattern of behaviors which will cause men to withdraw their respect and kill chivalry. This is all part of the conspiracy to reduce women to be either the playthings of the ruling classes or human incubators to supply the numbers and types of individuals the dictator will decide are necessary to fill the requirements of the state. Under God's plan for the rule of the universe, all his creatures were born unequal. It is common fallacy to believe all men are born equal. It is a half-truth which is worse than a downright he. The only manner in which all men are equal is inasmuch as they all have a body and soul. As far as mental capacity, bodily stamina, physical beauty and spiritual characteristics are concerned, no two people in the entire world are alike or equal. God intended that every one of his human creatures could, if they so desired, develop spiritually until qualified to fill the highest places in heaven. Because human beings, as well as angels, have intellects, and the use of their free will, they can deteriorate until they qualify for the lowest levels in hell. Talk of a classless world is pure Luciferian doctrine. Lucifer's capacity for love has turned into a capacity for hate. He knows he was and is wrong, but he is determined to drag as many human souls down to his level as is possible. He is succeeding in a terribly efficient manner. The words of our Lord, "For many are called, but few are chosen," are so true that to think about what is going on in the world today, under the influence of Satanism, is truly terrifying. But that does not relieve us from the responsibility of putting an end to the diabolically inspired conspiracy. Far too many people just don't want to hear anything unpleasant. They don't want to meddle in dirty affairs. Like oysters, they want to confine themselves within a shell. They are the real untouchables. Their motto is, "I mind my own business. Let others see to theirs, and may the devil take the hindmost." I can't imagine heaven being filled with such creatures, but they will surely fit nicely into hell. We have dealt with how leveling was achieved during the French Revolution and pawns in the game, so we will in order to show how the Synagogue of Satan controlled all aspects of the WRM. Then as they do today. In keeping with his intention to make authorities, in church and state, believe the Illuminati was dead, Weishaupt arranged that the secret revolutionary society in Italy, known as the Carbonari, be revived and reorganized to put the plans of the SOS into effect. He needed a gang of assassins to liquidate individuals and movements which opposed internationalism. Carbonarism was revived in 1815. The Grand Secret Consistory held a meeting October 13, 1820. As a result, the Carbonari became part and parcel of Grand Orient Masonry. Its members have committed nearly all political murders ever since. Like all evil groups, controlled by the SOS, the Carbonari operated under many names. One offshoot was the Mafia, which operated particularly in the United States of America. They direct gang wars which put men selected by the SOS at the head of organized labor, gambling, dope peddling, white slavery, and all other forms of vice. The Mafia is more powerful and active in the USA today than ever before. Giuseppe Mazzini was initiated into the Carbonari and Grand Orient Masonry in 1827. Weishaupt ordered him to go to America and secretly develop the part America was to play in the final stages of the Luciferian conspiracy. Many students of the WRM expressed the opinion that it was Mazzini who became the mentor who controlled Pike until 1872 when he, Mazzini, died. With this opinion I must disagree. I know it will hurt a great many good American people to learn that 11 Thomas Jefferson was just another publicity made who had feet of clay. The Synagogue of Satan needed to obtain control of America so that they could use this new giant to enable them to bring the semi-final and final stages of their revolutionary plan to fruition. In order to do this, America had to be separated from Great Britain. Despite all the Agintor of the SOS had done, Britain in some strange way, or by the grace of God, had rejected revolutionary action to bring about a change of government. Illuminist Manielski said when discussing Britain in a speech he made to the delegates attending the 18th Congress of the Communist Party International in Moscow in 1938, "Britain is the rock upon which the waves of revolution have so far dashed themselves in vain. Britain and her people must be destroyed before we can reach our ultimate objectives." Manielski is no more an atheistic communist than I am. He is a top-ranking member of the SOS who succeeded Lenin as the Illuminatist Director of Political Action, which, as we have previously stated, in the jargon of Illuminism means Director of the WRM. As I explained in Red Fog Over America, the Second World War was designed to reduce Britain to a third-class world power. It started the following year. Manielski, although proved to be a director of the WRM, was made president of the United Nations Security Council as soon as the UN was born. 23 The Synagogue of Satan's Agintor were busy in America soon after Columbus discovered the lower parts of what is now the USA. Contrary to general belief, the northern part of America from Labrador to Virginia had been discovered and explored by the Vikings hundreds of years before Columbus was born. 24 Many people who have read Pawns and the Red Fog Over America have asked me, why is it men sell their immortal souls to the devil when they know they can't take material wealth and temporal power with them? The answer is this: they believe Lucifer will give them their eternal reward, just as those of us who believe in God believe He will give us our reward in heaven. It is belief in the supernatural which marks the difference between those who serve the SOS and atheists. Weishaupt told his close associates, when discussing atheists and nihilists, that organizing them into international communism, and using their destructive force to further their own secret plans and ambitions, was justified because communism and atheism are only passing phases of the WRM. He and Pike both provided that communism will be completely erased in the final stages of the conspiracy. Pike confirmed this in his letter to Mazzini dated August 15, 1871. Nobody explained why the SOS provide for the perfect continuity of the direction of the Luciferian conspiracy better than did Voltaire. It may last for years, perhaps for centuries. In our ranks a soldier dies, but the war against God is continued. Lenin went one step further. He said it might take 3,000 years before the world revolutionary movement reached its final stage and the proletariat took over and established a classless world and socialist government. Lenin was an adept of the highest degrees in Grand Orient Masonry. He knew the final secret, as did Mazzini and Glemmy before him. He was using double talk to answer the question, how long will you maintain an absolute dictatorship? Because the master Satanists serve the father of lies, they invariably make the public believe what they do is for the honor and glory of God, and in the public interest. That has been their excuse for fomenting every war and revolution fought to date. History proves, the most horrible, and most terrible, atrocities have been perpetrated on individuals, and on the masses of humanity, in the holy name of God. Our blessed Lord warned us this would happen when he said, "Yes, the time cometh that whosoever killeth you will think he doeth God service." John 16:2. We Christians killed each other by the tens of millions in World Wars I and II, men, women, and little children, and both sides did what they did because the synagogue of Satan had deceived us into believing we were serving God and our countries. Because Lucifer is master of deceit, those who comprise the SOS use their agentor, working behind the scenes of government, to make our rulers, be they kings or presidents, adopt policies which start wars and/or revolutions. Sometimes those who fomented wars and/or revolutions used the flimsiest excuses. In the light of recent history, surely few people remain so gullible that they can't see that wars and revolutions are planned a long time in advance. Every war and revolution fought since 1776 was designed to fit the Weishaupt's conspiracy to destroy all governments and religions so the Luciferian ideology can be imposed on the human race. The very fact that nations who are enemies in one war are allied in the next proves the truth of the above statement. The SOS line up nations so that a balance of power is maintained. This assures them that the utmost destruction can be accomplished in a given time. Then weight is thrown on the side of the SOS wish to win. But the victor only wins an empty victory. As wars were developed into global wars, the power and strength of the USA was twice held back 2 years before being released to bring about the defeat of Germany and her allies. Nazism, just another name for Nazism, had been organized and used just as Weishaupt and Pike intended. Having served its purpose of enabling the SOS to foment World Wars I and II, it had to be destroyed. Those Nazi leaders who knew too much were liquidated by due process of law, exactly as Weishaupt said was to be done way back in the 1770s. But to get back to Pike and Mazzini, I wish to point out the fact that the high priests of the Luciferian creed control the synagogue of Satan. That was true regarding the plot to crucify Christ. It is true regarding Mazzini, Lenin, and Manuelski, who, in turn, directed the revolutionary plans of the conspirators since 1834. The evidence already submitted should prove that neither Mazzini nor Lemmy were made acquainted with the full secret until long after they had been selected to be directors of political action. Pike reorganized the Palatine Right to provide a secret headquarters for those who directed WRM because the lodges of the Grand Orient were becoming more and more suspected as the result of Mazzini's and Lemmy's activities. Pike, working from his headquarters in Charleston, established 2 supervisory councils to govern the political and dogmatic activities of the other 23 councils he and Mazzini had located throughout the world. In Rome, under Mazzini, the council supervised political action against governments. In Berlin, the Supervisory Council supervised the dogmatic and financial policies and activities of the SOS. The manner in which the director of dogmatic activities developed Nietzscheism into Nazism and then had it destroyed is typical of what I mean. But long before Pike became high priest of the Luciferian creed, direction of the conspiracy, at the top, had been from Charleston. Pike succeeded Moses Holbrook, and direction of the conspiracy, at the top, has remained in the USA ever since. The book Irish and English Freemasons and Their Foreign Brothers, published in 1878, throws considerable light on this phase of the conspiracy. Like all other books, which contain information which throws even a little light on the diabolical direction of the WRM, this book is practically unknown. There are, however, still copies in some of the remaining National Archives. I am informed there was a copy in the Vatican Library as recently as 1946. Beginning on page 62 of the above-named book, we learn that the highest authority of the Grand Orient in Italy, i.e., Mazzini or Lemmy, issued permanent instruction, or practical code of rules guide for the heads of the highest grades of Masonry. One section of this document says, "Our final aim is that of Voltaire, and of the French Revolution the complete annihilation of Catholicism, and ultimately Christianity. Were Christianity to survive, even upon the ruins of Rome, it would, a little later on, revive and live. We must now consider how to reach our end with certainty, not by cheating ourselves with delusions, which would prolong indefinitely, and probably compromise the ultimate success of our cause. The Pope, whoever he may be, will never enter into a secret society. It then becomes the duty of the secret society to make the first advance to the Church and to the Pope with the objective of conquering both. The work for which we gird ourselves is not the work of a day, nor a month, nor a year, that which we should seek, that which we should await, as the Jews await a Messiah, is a Pope according to our wants, but when, and how the unknown cannot yet be seen. The Scriptures indicate and the greatest theologians confirm that despite the supernatural gifts of both angels who have fallen, and those which remain faithful to God, God, withheld from the angels the power of foreseeing the future. In other words, they can plan thousands of years in advance the Luciferian conspiracy, but they cannot be sure that their plans are going to mature as they expect. That is why their agents on earth are always trying to learn what the future holds. Thus the old saying, "Man proposes, but God disposes." Nevertheless, as nothing should move us from our mapped-out plan, we must labor at our newly commenced work as if tomorrow would bring us success. The Supreme Executive of the Lodges of the Grand Orient then issued instructions that the document was issued for the information of the rulers of the Supreme Vendita. They said, the information is to be kept concealed from those simply initiated. The brethren were to be inculcated by means of insignamento, meaning secret memoranda. The plot cooked up by Weishaupt and Mazzini was for Italians and others posing as Roman Catholics to infiltrate into the Vatican and, as Weishaupt had previously stated, bore from within until it remains nothing but an empty shell. What Mazzini was instructed to do in the Vatican by Weishaupt himself, he later instructed General Albert Pike to do at the top levels of Freemasonry, and what Adolf Isaac Crémieux was selected to do in the higher controls of Orthodox Judaism. The instructions given were the same. Those selected to put this phase of the plot into execution were to place Agentor of the Illuminati in executive positions in all three organizations and get themselves recognized as specialists, experts, and advisors. They were not to attempt to interfere in any way with the established teachings and policies of the three religions, but they were to guard against the directors of the three world powers getting information which might make them suspicious that the synagogue of Satan controlled all subversive movements at the top. They were by one means or another to enforce silence on any who grew suspicious. The